What's going on, everyone? This is City Wrestling Radio, and today I was joined by Scott Bregante. He is the owner of West Coast Pro Wrestling. We talked about West Coast Pro Wrestling. We also talked about their 3-year anniversary show coming up, being headlined by Daniel Garcia and Minoru Suzuki. Their training school, they're starting in Pacifica, so much more, and also what it's like to run and operate a wrestling show or a wrestling company in Northern California. So without further ado, I'm not going to waste any time. Let's just get right into the interview, and I'll see you on the other side.
So how's your day going, man?
Fucking long, man. Everything's good, though.
Let's already talk about No Leaf Clover coming up, 3-year anniversary.
Yeah. It's crazy. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go on. Minoru Suzuki versus Daniel Garcia.
That one is a blessing on its own. I think a lot of people are excited to see that, Minoru Suzuki is going to do this tour in America right now.
Yeah.
And you're seeing a ton of great matches. I think this weekend we're seeing Minoru Suzuki versus Calvin Takeman. Calvin Takeman was at the last show. We brought him out. I think that was his first time on the West Coast. You're going to start to notice that as a lot of that's first timers on the West Coast, not just us, but California in general. But Takeman, he's huge in. I saw Takeman through Paradigm and MLW, and I'm just like, this guy's a beast, and he's wrestling Suzuki. I think the Gage versus Suzuki is, I think, the day after ours over with GCW.
Down in South Cal, or?
No, that's on the East Coast. That's going to be I think Atlantic. No, that's Atlantic City.
Okay.
But that's going to be a fucking monster ass show right there. But then you have like Daniel Garcia. To me, is, in my opinion, one of my favorite technical wrestlers. Wrestlers in general. For me personally, my favorite since Thatcher. So yeah. Putting him and Minoru Suzuki together, Suzuki being a student of Gotch, no one was doing it, so I was like, I have to do this, and thankfully it lined up right. And Daniel has fucking excelled. Daniel is doing exactly what I imagined Daniel doing, but in a such a fast amount of time.
Yeah.
And I'm so incredibly proud of him. That match is going to just be, there's people flying in from fucking, I think Toronto to see that. I know there's people coming in from Vegas, Washington. There's one guy coming in from flying in from New York. Mm-hmm. Just a lot going on. And amazing.
That's the one thing I've noticed about a lot of the West Coast pro shows is that there are more people traveling in for these shows than I've seen in the past for Northern California shows.
Right.
Like you would see before, we have New Japan, we'd have, King of the Indies, things like that. And people would travel in for that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're seeing more and more people just, we're going to drive up from SoCal to go West Coast Pro to San Bruno, to the state room in San Bruno.
Yeah, South City for sure. Yeah. It's for we have a couple that comes all the way from Oregon every month now. They literally work it into their budget to come down and see us. And we are getting ready to start expansion as far as going up to Oregon, doing some shows down south. So I mean, I think that the standard that we have speaks for itself. I used to be very loud about telling people all the time that we have some of the best wrestling, not just in the Bay Area, but just in general. And as far as and I hate the word independent wrestling company, but just as far as that goes, but I don't think I need to say it anymore at this point. I think people just kind of see what we're doing now. I'm incredibly proud. We, it's a small venue. We now are looking for a bigger venue. We've found it. It's just kind of like the state room is our home. There's history being made in that little room. And we're incredibly proud of it, especially in the direction that it's going. So it's going to be really interesting to see the trajectory that we're going to be having. We have such an amazing opportunity to work with such great talent and some really renowned companies around the world. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting because people always talked about the Forbidden Door and stuff like that. And we really prided on ourselves of being a melting pot of talent from all different types of companies.
Yeah.
That, you know, we don't have a TV. Well, we didn't have a TV deal pre-COVID, but like if you go look at our cards beforehand, you see a lot of people that are currently signed on AEW, MLW, big names on the independent circuit, things like that. And we were kind of always doing this. I think that we were just so deprived of our love for pro wrestling and being able to see it in a live capacity that people really were like, whoa, shit, they're really doing something over there. And we have a level of consistency that we want to put out at a monthly rate now. So we're running monthly instead of bi-monthly, that we're just swinging for the fences. So it's just all excitement, man. It's just, this is always going to be forever my love letter to pro wrestling, especially for the Bay Area. I want to do right by the people that were before me, and I'm trying to set an amazing standard for the people that come after me. You know what I mean? So
yeah. No, I mean, you talk about West Coast being kind of like this melting pot. I mean, just to speak on my first West Coast pro show, it was January 11th, 2019. Never Say Die, Hammerstone, Will Hobbs, Luchasaurus, Darby Allin, Bateman, Facade. You know, just like all these guys that, like you said, now you see them on AEW, MLW,
right,
all over the place. So it's really cool to see that come together. Especially, I mean, that's selfish of me to say because it's so close to me, but
right. No, I mean we've had so there was always this feeling about the Bay Area being a quote unquote black hole, and I on the surface level you could say that. But we've always had some amazing talent here.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, I think what people do is that if they didn't travel outside of California or even the Bay for that matter, it didn't really give them that that stamp of approval. We know up here that we have amazing, you know, Timothy Thatcher, Big Ugly. We have
Will Hobbs, you know.
Will Hobbs, Oliver John. I mean, you could go back to Vinny Massaro. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like people. I grew up watching these people. Like my first indie show in the Bay Area was Big Time Wrestling in San Mateo. I think they went to San Mateo one time. It was Vic Grimes and man, it was insanity. And I've always followed and kept an eye on it, and you know, always kind of dug what we had here. Yeah. I just always wanted to see them work against people that were crowned outside of here, because I knew that if you were good here, you were good anywhere. You know, and that speaks for itself as far as the people that are currently getting up out of here, and I'm very happy about that. Yeah. So it's like I said, I'm just trying to do right by the people that came before me, because it's just quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely.
People forgot about that.
And I think one thing that speaks to, like, because a lot of people can just say that. A lot of people could say, "Oh, we want quality here, yada yada yada." But then you're also investing in wrestling school now.
Oh, for sure. The school itself is something that we've been working towards. We were actually supposed to open the West Coast Pro Training Academy right before COVID. There was a lot of plans that we had before COVID, as everybody else in the world. But we were, throughout the pandemic, we were just trying to figure out how we could navigate and do this. And right now, I feel like it's the right time to get this going. And yeah, absolutely, I want to invest into the future of what we're doing at West Coast. I want to make sure that we have a sound, squad there. I got Vinny Massaro as the head trainer. I got Levi Shapiro making sure that everything's up on the up and up. Like those two alone, I firmly believe, are some of the best teachers, because if you're in the know, it'd be very, I'd be hard pressed to say that Vinny isn't one of the most respected people out here. when it comes to people asking them, like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I'm extremely proud to have both Levi and Vinny on this team to make sure that we usher in like an amazing set of talent. I want to be able to have kids that come through here and be able to go work anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And have that, like, oh, they're from West Coast. That's all you got to hear. You know what I mean? It's like Santino brothers, you know, same thing. Like you hear they're from Santino's. You have, Brody King, Jake Atlas, all those folks. You don't have anything to say. You know that they come from a cloth that's cut different. And I really want that for us up here. I really want to stamp, Bay Area and West Coast pro wrestling as far as what we're doing and just across the board, quality. That's it.
The whole wrestling game has changed entirely
in the best way possible.
Yeah, over the last 10 years, because before it was everyone, they were just trying to make it to WWE and just trying to fill that mold. But now there's so many different outlets out there. There's New Japan, there's AEW. You can even go to WWE if you want to as well. But
and there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of people take it as a badge of like kind of like a gotcha moment to say that they don't like WWE. Like, personally, I don't watch it. Yeah. And that's okay, but that's not me saying it's shit. That's me saying it's not my cup of tea. Just like anything. I don't watch cricket. I don't care about cricket. Doesn't make cricket shit. It's just I'm not into it. Yeah. Like what people don't know is it's like you see, like I love deathmatch wrestling. If it was up to me, I would have been doing death matches. But like, for me, I would never ask anyone to do anything that I wouldn't do myself personally. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you come to a point of responsibility and accountability, you kind of have to put a big boy hat on and be like, all right, cool. But yeah, there is a ton of places that you could go. You could go to AEW, All Japan, New Japan. You could, the independents right now are hot. And I think people are starting to realize that like for example, Big Time Wrestling is, I think they're doing one of their anniversaries. I don't know how long they've been around. They're doing their anniversary the same night as our show on the 8th. And SmackDown is going to be in the Bay also. Yeah. When I came into this, I was flat out told, like, if we should basically adhere to whatever WWE is doing. And if they're in town, switch a weekend. We still sold out. Didn't matter. Big Time Wrestling is doing well, as far as what they're doing. And they're running across the Bay. And then you have everyone's it's not oversaturation to the point where it's just, this is wrestling. It's not that anymore. So, I mean, it's really an exciting time in the Bay. I can't speak for everywhere else. Los Angeles and Philly, Chicago. I can't speak for all those other places because I definitely keep tabs on all that type of stuff as far as like market data and ticket sales and what's going on as far as what's trending down there. But for the Bay Area, sky's the limit right now. So I'm really excited to see how things pan out.
Well, yeah, like you said, I mean, WWE is just different, and I think a lot of people kind of can shy away from that, and they want to be somewhere different. They don't really want to be. They don't necessarily want to be at WWE, so they have the option of, going to the 3-year anniversary or going to Big Time Wrestling, which some people it's for travel, or they weren't able to get tickets to No Leaf Clover because it was sold out.
Someone resold them this morning. We actually had someone confirm that people are like trying to resell us. They actually did resell them. We sold like 2 front row tickets. And I was just like, fuck, okay, so we're doing this now. But as much as I dislike it, it's just kind of like one of those indicators. But,
yeah. Well, one thing I think I've heard in the crowd and people have said to me is they feel like it's kind of like it's starting to be like the PWG of Northern California, which I don't really like to say at the same, because I don't want to label West Coast like, oh, you guys are like this company. You know what I mean? But I do think it's that kind of same, like the attention is now focused on West Coast. Like I said, you had this match with Daniel Garcia and Suzuki. I mean, it got national attention. Figure 4 Wrestling covered it. Dave Meltzer talked about it on air. So it's these things.
I didn't even know he talked about it. That's cool.
Well, I think it was mentioned quickly,
that's cool. Like, you go from having a show that only drew 36 people 3 years ago. I mean, 3 years ago on the 13th, we lost the venue, the whole shit, and we only had like 36 people, and I didn't think that we would get to where we were today. And now it's like we're doing something that is being talked on a national level. I'm very, very hard on myself and very critical of what we do. Very critical.
And this So this is chapter 1, Halloween, the show you're talking about.
And go look at who's on that one too, man.
I mean, I think I got it right here. Actually,
yeah, Jake Atlas, Hammerstone, Will Hobbs. We had Journey Fatu's on there. Who else do we have on?
Marcus Lewis.
Marcus Lewis is on there. Tresario's on there. God damn, Tresario's killing it right now too.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people on there. But to go back to what you were saying, like a lot of people do say that we're the PWG of Northern California, and that's a really good company to be in. Like I just went to my very first PWG show this past weekend, and like the atmosphere was amazing. Nothing like I've ever known, like nothing that I've ever seen before and experienced. And it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I understand that people want to compare, and I take that with respect also, but respectfully, like West Coast Pro Wrestling is West Coast Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Good wrestling is always compared to other good wrestling also. So that's another thing. It's like, hey, you know what? Like, we're really doing something solid. I'm just happy we're not compared to anything out here. Not to say anything out here is bad. If you're too close to something and it's getting compared to something that's just right next door, it's, you know what I mean? There's a ton of good, like family entertainment type wrestling, which is really good for wrestling.
Yeah.
We're not that. We are not PG-13. We're more R-rated. And, you know, everyone's excited about that. People want that. People are really looking for pushing the envelope, and people wanted like just good old fashioned violent wrestling, not to the point where it's deathmatch. You know what I mean? And UGWA does an amazing job with what they're doing in San Jose. And I really hope that they expand soon and get more eyes on what they're doing, because I think UGWA is severely slept on. And if you see what they draw very well, even for the Bay Area. I mean, they draw more than us, like I think by double. And they're not nearly talked about as much. They don't get, you know, and Anthony does a great job over there. So like, we really just, like I said, we're trying to separate ourselves from everyone. People are always going to compare things, especially within pro wrestling. I take it with respect also. I don't get offended by it. You know, my ego means shit. You know what I mean? My opinion means even less. So like when I hear those things, I'm like, that's cool. I got to work harder now because I don't want to be compared to anybody. Yeah. And I don't think anyone, I mean, you know, I think some people would like to have the comparisons just because they could live and breathe off of it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do things that like, I'm just trying to build. I'm just trying to build, man. That's the best way I could explain that.
Hey, no, I mean, I feel you. If somebody was like, "Hey, your podcast is like Fightful," I'd be like, "Oh, thank you.
Right.
I appreciate that."
Right.
But no, I see where you're coming from, and to go from, you know, Pacifica, you know, you said almost losing the venue, or you lost?
No, we did. We lost the venue, and Sparky Ballard, who is, I consider my mentor. If it wasn't for Sparky Ballard, and I tell this to anyone that ever listens, if it wasn't for Sparky Ballard, I wouldn't be doing this. Yeah. Sparky Ballard, Will Hobbs, two people that legitimately gave me everything to start in here, and, you know, enough of the tools for me to, you know, sink or swim. And, you know, that first show was everything that could have gone wrong with the show did. We lost venues, people didn't show up, bad attendance. Yeah. And I got that whole emotional shit of like, oh, I lived my dream. Okay, I got that out of the way. Let's go do something sick now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? That failure is my favorite friend. You know what I mean? Like if I fuck up on something, or if something doesn't go right and I have an opportunity to do it again, I promise you, like, you'll never see that mistake happen twice. And I think that we've been doing a very good job as far as putting out, you know, some very consistent and doing this. And I'm very proud of all the people that are involved with that.
What was it that just like initially like made you want to do that first show? What was it that just said, screw it, I'm going to do a wrestling show? Because I think a lot of people would say like, hey, if you want to make money or anything like that, don't do a wrestling show.
There's money in wrestling. People just don't know how to hustle. Like, I think they're full of shit. Like if you, here's some game like for free. If you are if you are legitimately in business within the first 2 to 5 years, it's the first time you'll turn around. So like, you won't see a profit right away. If you're running a show based on that show, I'm going to make it, or if you're not reinvesting funds from that show, okay, cool. You're tripping. Like, there really isn't money in the short term. In the long term, there is. You just need to know how to do what you're doing. But I will tell you this right now. I have multiple businesses. I've been in many lanes. Pro wrestling promotion is the most difficult challenge I've ever been a part of. And I wouldn't suggest it for everybody. You see people all the time attempt, especially here in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
That shit show in Santa Clara happened. There's a lot of things that happen. I remember me and Levi were talking about it on the way back up from LA. There was that big Cow Palace show, I think like 15 years ago. People try to promote, especially with wrestling, and they fuck up, and they fuck up royally. They don't pay the boys. They don't cross the T's and dot the I's. They don't make sure everything, and they fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm happy that I came in outside of this bubble, and I'm bringing some type of like professionalism to it, because there's a lot of unprofessional motherfuckers in this. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty difficult, but to say like why I wanted to, there's multiple answers for that. I'll say the nicest way possible was that I just wasn't, I wanted to see what they were doing as far as what Los Angeles was doing at that time. I wanted to see that here. And what I mean by that was that, like I said, I knew that we had an amazing amount of talent, unbelievable, ungodly amount of talent up here. And I wanted to see them be put on the same stage as everybody else.
Yeah.
And, you know, after having a lot of conversations with folks that I trusted at that time, you know, they flat out said, like, you got the idea. If you could execute it, do it. And I did. And here we are.
So let's just talk quickly about this, or not quickly, but let's talk about this 3-year anniversary show.
For sure.
The matches lined up. I mean, because I just want to go through the card already listed. You got Alex Zane and Hammerstone going one-on-one. Yep. 6-man tag match with D-Rogue, Vinny Massaro. And one person that really stuck out to me at the last show was Kevin Blackwood.
Yep. Kevin Blackwood. So I watch, people say they watch wrestling, and that's cool. And this is not a gatekeeper comment. Because I'm a promoter and because I have to pay attention to everything that's anything, like, I don't think most people know who this company is. And it's personally one of my favorite companies. It's Limitless Maine.
Okay.
They're out in Maine. People didn't even know that they had wrestling in Maine. They're on IWTV. Check them out. That's where I saw Daniel Garcia for the first time, and Kevin Blackwood as well. And I wanted to work with Kevin Blackwood as much as I wanted to work with Daniel Garcia. Got the opportunity, and having him against Calvin Takeman at the last show. Yeah. People saw, it's what I love about wrestling is you could look at one person and not know what's going on, and then you see him and they're like, oh shit, he's a killer. Yeah. You know what I mean? You see Kevin Blackwood and looks deceived. I think he's a bad motherfucker. Like, I wouldn't want to go toes with him. And then you're like, oh man, Calvin Takeman stomped this motherfucker. Nah, man. He's a striker. He's tough. So I think he has a lot of potential to do a lot of great things. Now he's on the West Coast. He just moved to Los Angeles. Okay. Shouts to him. The day he moved here, he dropped his stuff off. He literally drove cross country, dropped his stuff off, drove up north. He was like, I'm not missing this shit for nothing. I'm like, cool, come through, bro. I got it.
Nice. Well, they're taking on Juicy Fenoy, Yuya Yamura, and Carl Fredericks, who's making his return. Both of them are coming back to West Coast.
Yep. Oh, well, all three of them, yeah.
Juicy, I mean, he's really, I think, making his claim to fame right now in GCW and all around the country.
Yeah. So, fun fact, all three of them went through their respective New Japan dojos. Okay. Juicy was the Fale Dojo. Carl was the LA dojo, and Yuya went through the New Japan dojo proper. I think it was one of the first times that you're going to see all three graduates all in the same spot at the same time. Nice. On having that. Carl Fredericks right now is, I mean, obviously grew up watching him. Yeah. Throughout here, he is amazing. There's nothing else to say about him. Yuya Yamura, I'm very, very proud to say that we were his first match as not a young lion and plus independent show anywhere. Yeah. People in Japan were tweeting us crazy like, oh, he's wearing white boots because when you're a young lion, you got to don the black boots. But he was wearing the white boots and everything like that. Amazing talent. A lot of people compare him to Steamboat. I hate comparisons. I think his match with Vinny last month was phenomenal. Oh yeah. Go watch it for yourself. If you want to see good pro wrestling, go check that out. And then Juicy for now definitely has it. That's the best way I could say it. Anywhere that he goes, whether it's Championship Wrestling from Atlanta, whether it's with us, whether it's GCW, doesn't matter. He always does well and adapts in amazing ways. And I'm incredibly proud to work with him. In this 6-man match, I mean, you see those three and you think that's just overshadowing them. It's like, no, you got Blackwood, you got Vinny Massaro, who in my opinion should be on everyone's top 20 list. And then you have D-Rogue, who's also emerging as well. He's really coming to his own. I'm extremely proud to see what he's doing. I want to see them all come together and just,
seeing
everyone what's going on.
Seeing guys like D-Rogue, because he's been, coming through the Bay Area scene, at Hood Slam, East Coast Pro, and now he's getting a chance to work more and more with New Japan talent, and anything that he can do where he can gain knowledge from them. That's awesome to see him grow as a competitor.
For sure.
And then you got Davey Richards going against the new West Coast Pro champion, AJ Gray.
Yes, sir.
Which, wow, I was shocked. I'll be honest. I was a little shocked when AJ Gray, not because I didn't think he could win the title, but I was just like, oh, wow, Hammerstone, who's held the title since, he was the first champion.
Yeah.
And he's held the title the entire time. AJ Gray is your new champion. And
yeah. At the end of that match, Hammerstone got on the mic, and he knows I hate it. I hate when anyone ever talks. I don't like spotlight shit. I do these podcasts every once in a while when I need to do the promotional stuff. And Hammer knows, and anyone that knows me knows I hate when they jump on the mic and they mention me, because this shit is never about me. Yeah. And he was saying he was very proud to say that there's anyone that would have taken that belt off him. It was AJ Gray. We'll probably talk about Hammerstone in a second with his match with Zane. So I'll talk about that in a second. But AJ Gray, in my very humble opinion, I won't say he's underrated, because now everyone knows who he is because of PWG this past weekend.
Right.
And he deserves every single opportunity. He deserves every single bit of praise. He is that guy. When we look at who we should be working with, it doesn't matter who it is. If there's anybody on that list of that's on our cards, I'll argue for every single one of them. I sit there hours and hours watching their tape, seeing where they've been, seeing ideas where they're going. AJ Gray is on it. You will be talking about AJ Gray in 5 years in a way where it is the most positive way possible. And I pray to God that people start waking up for who AJ Gray is.
No, I saw him. Yeah. I saw him. My first show with him was 2 shows ago, or the show before last.
With him and Tresario.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was an incredible match.
They were killing each other. And that's another, and we'll talk about him in a second, but Tresario is probably the most improved wrestler out of Northern California. He's down in Vegas now.
Yeah.
But most improved, Steven Tresario, and I felt like he deserved that opportunity to work with AJ Gray. And, we didn't really call it that, but whoever won that match was going to be going for a number 1 title shot. And AJ Gray excels, flying colors.
What did they say? Contender opportunity match, right?
Oh yeah, whatever you want to call, whatever the gimmick is these days. And then you have Davey Richards. In my opinion, right now, and I met him this past weekend for the first time.
Yeah,
and I love a good story. Davey Richards, purely as a professional wrestler and everything that encompasses that, he is, in my opinion, the definition of what a professional wrestler is. This run that he's on right now has been so incredibly inspiring to see him come back, jump through the hoops and make sure that, every single person I've talked to about Davey Richards since his return has been, and no bullshit, no sugarcoating, has just been, and the word I keep on hearing is it's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to work with him. It's been an honor to work with him. And I was like, I have to work with him at some point. And this was, we are pro wrestling. We are not sports entertainment. We're not trying to be anything but pro wrestling. So when I was thinking about who would be the best person to have, double main our show at, with AJ, Davey Richards kept popping up, and I said, you know what? This is going to be an amazing match. Let's see what we do with this. And then we, thankfully, we have the opportunity to work with him. It's, so I'm very excited to have him grace the state room. And then I'm also excited to see them to battle it out. You know, may the best man win on that one. That one's just going to be one of those ones where they're just going to leave it in the ring and go ham. So I'm very excited about that match.
One of the other matches you got for that night is Alex Zane versus Hammerstone.
Yep.
And Hammerstone, I mean, this guy is just, he looks like $1 million. Like, I want to, like, once he's on, he's going to be on TV one day in a big way, like on network TV one day, wherever it is. And
right now, I think they're on Vice, MLW.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on MLW. I understand that we were talking about, like, you know, WWE, AEW. MLW's very, very close to being up there, and they have a lot of great talent. If you go look at our last show, look how many people are MLW contracted wrestlers. You know, Myron Reed, Calvin Tankman, you know, all those folks. Hammerstone's at the top of that list with Fatu.
Yeah.
And Hammerstone is a complete professional. He has an amazing look. The drive that he has is bar none one of the best out there. Complete professional. Alex Zane, again, another person I just met this past weekend for the first time. I'm extremely excited to see what them two come. You know, it's different styles of professional wrestling, but at the end of the day, it's still professional wrestling. And seeing them two clash is going to be really special. And I know as soon as that happens, it might be one of those people, you know, sometimes sleep on the heavyweight joints, but I think that match alone is going to be the sleeper for the night, and people are going to be losing their fucking mind. Alex Zane is definitely someone you should keep your eye on. You know, of course he was with NXT, but I love to see people reinvent themselves when they come back onto the independent circuit.
Yeah.
And I really believe that, you know, he's going to definitely do that. I can't wait for this COVID shit to end, because a lot of the guys got to get to Japan, man. He's one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hammer and Zane is going to be a spectacular match. You know, if you go look at this lineup, no bullshit.
Yeah.
And we'll go through it all. The hardest thing that you could say about this is, or one of the coolest things is, any single one of these matches, doesn't matter which one it is, could have been a main event.
Yeah.
Like, think about it.
Yeah.
Like, like, if you really look at every match card on here, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing but, you know, like we're saying, MLW, Hammerstone, we got New Japan, all these guys.
It's insanity. It's insanity.
We also got Nicole Savoy coming back to the Bay, take on Sandra Moon. And, I mean, I'm really looking forward to that match, because Sandra was, the last time I saw her, I could see she had, like, just all the potential in the world to have a good match. You know
that
I mean?
Vegas crew right now is phenomenal. Shout out to Grap House. If anyone wants to, like, look at what's coming up out of Vegas, look up what Grap House is. Sandra Moon encompasses, in my opinion, everything that could be marketable about a female competitor, but and also at the same time, like, she's a sound professional wrestler. I'm not even trip off the women part. Like, I could put her in the ring with damn near anyone and she'll excel. I think she's phenomenal. Nicole Savoy, I won't, you know, blow smoke, but, like, she's probably one of the best women's wrestlers in America. She's doing really great on Ring of Honor right now. I'm proud to say she's out of NorCal. Those two are going to get it in heavy. It's going to be a really good match.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's one of the matches I was really looking forward to, along with Jacob Fatu and Steven Tresario.
Fatu and Tresario. It's going to be an interesting match. Tresario's been on a really strong up, and then Fatu, like, Tresario's been really on a straight, like, going up trajectory. That's what I meant by that. I'm bad right now with words.
He's on a tear.
Fatu just took an L to Levi Shapiro, and Levi is turned a new leaf, something vicious. I really want to see what his attitude is going to be when he comes to the show, because from what I'm hearing, he's pissed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing for Tresario. And I wouldn't want to be across the ring from Fatu. No how. Jacob's a killer, bro. Like, I wouldn't want to deal with that shit in any way, shape, or form. So, you know what I mean? Like, I know Tresario has improved a ton. He's technically sound. He's in a great shape right now. But sometimes that might not be enough for someone that's just hungry and pissed off. And Fatu, Jacob, since the last time I've been talking to him, he's the hungriest I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see what happens with this match. Like, this is going to be...
Well, these guys also know each other pretty well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they got the knowledge on each other. They've scouted each other for how many years now? So going into it, I mean, you got two guys who are eagerly, like, both hungry and want to get the win. So
he flat out, Batu didn't even, he flat out told me, he's like, Oos, I don't give a fuck who you put up across the ring for me. I'm killing him. I'm like, all right. Okay. All right, let's go. You know what I mean?
Who wants the job? Anyone?
Yeah, nah. Cesario stepped up to the plate. It's all right.
He's a crazy one. I mean, just
yeah. Yeah.
Then we got the West Coast Wrecking Crew versus Alex Coughlin and Kevin Knight.
Yes.
And the Wrecking Crew, I mean, they used to be known as, was the 1%?
The 1%, yep.
Formerly now West Coast Wrecking Crew in New Japan Strong, a part of Team Filthy.
Yes, sir.
And now back at No Leaf Clover.
Yeah. Tag team wrestling is alive and well because of teams like the West Coast Wrecking Crew. Mm-hmm. We got the opportunity to work with Coughlin and Knight. I wanted to see what they would bring to the table with West Coast Pro. It was a very easy match to put together. They almost got into it this last Saturday, so you know what I mean? I think that we're going to see some intensity. This could be a good tag match. I'm excited to see what happens with that. And
I don't know if it's still on, but Starboy Charlie and Titus and versus Titus and Big Ugly.
I still don't know who Charlie's partner is. I have no idea.
Everyone's talking about it.
I still don't know who his partner is.
Right.
Charlie just told me to mind my business. I was like, okay. All right, man. I want no problems. Titus and Big Ugly definitely took advantage of that was some shit. That was the first time I ever thought that we were going to need security at a show.
Yeah.
That was wild. Much love and respect to Jake Atlas. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? He had to take some time off. But I'm pretty sure that we're going to see something insane. Charlie has a lot of friends in wrestling now. So, it could be, we want to talk about someone that could open forbidden doors. We don't know. It might be coming from AEW, might be coming from GCW, might be coming from, up north, maybe some, I don't know. He's been all over the country now, made a ton of friends.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we will see.
Well, he has, like you said, he has a lot of friends. He's been making his way. He's wrestled through GCW a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be exciting.
And that's pretty much the full card right there, right?
Yeah,
right.
8 matches. You know what I mean?
Daniel Garcia and Minoru Suzuki.
Yep.
I mean,
8 matches. Yeah.
You got that match alone. I think got my co-host Michael to actually say, you know what? I'm actually going to go to a show. I'll actually go to an independent, because he doesn't go to a lot of independent wrestling shows. He likes to save money, and good on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I think I think my overall goal is to change that. So here, I've said this before, and I'm kind of different. So it is what it is. What are we independent of?
Yeah.
What do I depend on in pro wrestling?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who am I independent from?
That's true. Yeah.
So I'm trying to, for me, if other people want to live on that, we're independent, cool. I don't know what I'm independent of. You know what I mean? I don't have sponsors. I don't have investors. This is 100% me putting this together as far as the financials, the marketing, all that other stuff. I have an amazing team when it comes to the people that put together the pro wrestling that happens on West Coast Pro. If you look at everybody on that card, I include them in that group. People that put the ring together, our ring crew, fantastic. Our sound guys, our video guys. We're a pretty tight unit.
Yeah.
But what are we dependent on? You know what I mean? No one can answer that question. It used to be the wrestling world revolves around WWE. 2021, it does not. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that as a stiff to WWE at all. I'm saying that as a legitimate businessman. I'm not dependent on anybody in pro wrestling.
There you go.
You know what I mean? You might be able to argue that I'm dependent on the people that we have in our team, for sure. But we move as a unit. We make sure everything is done correctly to the T.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? I want people to look at our shows like, I can't miss this. Because now you don't know who's going to show up. I'm a psychopath. I'm not going to sit there.
Well, with
every wrestling promoter will fuck around and feel like, oh, I got this big person coming in. I got to advertise and get my money's worth. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I want the long term. I want you to be able to say, you know what, anytime there's right now, if we didn't throw up tickets for the November show. And I'm very proud to say, like, we start to sell out. Like, people really go in on our tickets, like,
yeah,
people are reselling them. It's fucking crazy.
I'm developing a system to make sure I get front row every time. So use my phone.
I'll put this out for you because this is something that I've been working on. So there's going to be a season system. Not season like, how can I say it? Not like, we only operate 6 months of the year. No, like January 2022, we're going to offer something to where we're going to split up our front row seats in half. Because that basically all of our, there's people that we have a really high retention rate, extremely high.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to cover it. You could buy 12 tickets and not have to worry about the lines and anything like that. So it may be a season pass essentially.
Okay.
And you'll basically have your ticket, your seat for all of our shows. One show a month. You know what I mean? We're going to most likely start traveling, but we will be in the Bay Area, one show a month, no matter what's going on. So we're going to flesh that out. We almost did that for November, but we're just going to wait till January. So it could be a straight 12-month cycle.
Makes more sense.
But yeah, definitely going to make it easy. If you want to grab it, you can buy them all at once and then we're good to go.
Just, I'll get the tickets and I'll just say, hey, boss, I'm sorry. Here's my dates, my season tickets.
We are going to basically announce in January, February, by February, middle of February, all of our dates for the year.
Nice.
Because the biggest thing is, it's like, look, we're Friday night. I'm not doing Saturday shows. I'm not doing Sunday shows. Friday night. It's the most cracking night in the Bay Area. I want to be a part of that. That's what we're going to do. So with that being said, I want to be able to say, hey, we all have jobs. We all have hustles. I want to make sure that you know what days that we are going to be running so you could take that time. Because now I got to respect that people are taking vacation time to come see our shows. So I'm just like, all right, cool. We're going to do this for y'all.
And so I think the one last thing I want to ask you before we get out of here is, so West Coast versus the World in November.
Yeah.
You were talking about a bigger venue. Could we see the two come together? Are we going to see this bigger venue with West Coast versus the World?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We will see. We will see.
We will be waiting.
Yeah. When you see these announcements, you'll know why. If we decide to. But we'll get there when we get there. I'd like to keep everything. I'll on a random Sunday night just release the matches, and you're like, "What the fuck?" Okay, I'm excited now. You know what I mean? So,
well, I got my Twitter ping on my alert for West Coast already. So,
okay, cool. I'll do my best not to. See, that's why I don't like to tweet a lot from that account. Like people say, you guys are pretty active. I'm like, not as active as we could be, but Twitter is where it's at as far as our. I think. Overall, I'm going to stop posting anything on Facebook. I hate Facebook.
Yeah.
I've said that for a year, but I hate it.
It's definitely, it's got its islands of groups, but at the same time, it's like those groups tend to be a little toxic.
Yeah. And well, that's wrestling.
Yeah.
Wrestling isn't all toxic. There are a lot of things that we should definitely change for sure. But not saying it's okay by any means. And I think people know by now, like I was joking with Levi and God bless anything. I mean, I just hope it never happens, and I don't think it will. But like, our fans have always been super respectful. We've never had anything like on some like wild shit or toxicity at our shows, as far as I've known. We were just laughing. Like, it'd be bad for. I think our fans would probably start shoving people if they're being stupid. But yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting, dude. I'm really excited for this October show. November.
Hold on to your seats.
Yeah. November's gonna be interesting.
Well, and do you want any plugs you want to give out before we get out of here today? Your social medias?
Yeah, WC Pro Official is our Twitter. But we're in a very great spot. So for those that really enjoy what we do, I would suggest you check out Grap House down in Las Vegas, Prestige Wrestling up in Oregon, and then UGWA in San Jose. Those three companies. Oh, and also Raise the Bar. There are some really good companies that have really amazing mindsets, and they're progressive, and they're doing the right things by their fans and by the people that they work with. I will only, shout people like that out, or, give praise and put people over like that. Grap House, Prestige Wrestling, Raise the Bar, Ugwa. Go look at all 4 of those. Thank me later. And that's really all I got, man. I just appreciate your time. Let me get up on here and talk some bullshit.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining us, or joining me, and anyone listening. And again, No Leaf Clover is sold out, but we can find it on iwtv.com. It is?
Sir. Yep, IWTV. It'll be at, the show starts at, was it 7? Yeah, 7 Pacific, usually 10 Eastern. Like I said, man, it's gonna be a fun night.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think I'm gonna have to get there early. There's
one more thing that we haven't announced yet.
Okay.
For the fans that are showing up, so you might want to get there earlier. A
little earlier. All right.
Yes,
well,
sir.
I will tell my co-host that hey, I'm picking you up a little earlier.
Yeah. There you go.
Right on, Scott. Thank you for taking time out of your day, and have a good one. See you.